Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LJL 2020 Summer Split Week 5. We're in for Game 7. My name is Samuel Initialized Hapgood. I'm still joined by Alexander Mashed Swan Swan. A very special guest, Counterfeit, also joining us for a couple games. How are you doing, Counterfeit? Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm doing very well. And I thought this was, the best time to drop in to the LJL is when the entire world's been flipped upside down and everything's gone to hell.
Madness.
Because now, as someone coming into this new, I guess I know about as much as anyone.
It does feel like that. Like, what are you all going? Like, did you manage to catch much of the last game there?
I was wrapped to my seat for the entire thing. I was thinking, there's no way I'm here today of all days to see this thing happen. But it did, and especially now to be going on to their next game as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. We'll have to see how they play out tomorrow and stuff. But for now, it's CGA facing off against the Hawks of CGA, of course, just coming off beating down our number one undefeated, or rather undefeated no longer team, V3 Esports. Lexi.
Go on.
The Hawks are 3-5.
Yep.
But we've been pretty
kind
down on the Hawks' chances. They have two of their wins were very soft wins. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
What are we thinking about the Hawks' chances coming into this matchup with Crest Gaming out looking really damn hot coming in on 10-14 here?
So, if Honey gets to pop off, there's always a chance for the Hawks. Because Honey seems to be the only player who isn't inting on the side of the Hawks. But they've got Dasher, who will want to fight Arya tooth and nail, because at one point Dasher was, quote-unquote, one of the best players in the region. Now he's not that anymore because Arya's taken his throne. Well, they're just going to fight, and, oh god, it's not going to be pretty. Either way, it's not going to be pretty.
Well, we know that CGA likes to fight, and everyone on the Hawks goes for brawls they probably shouldn't do. Counterfeit, obviously this is you're coming in a little fresh to the whole league. What are your kind of outside eyes seeing as you look in on this matchup, having caught a game of CGA and heard a little bit about the Hawks down from our note stuff? What are you expecting?
I mean, at least the Hawks come into this after seeing that previous game, knowing exactly what they're in for when it comes to facing down Arya in the mid lane. I mean, certainly Dasher for the Hawks can snowball against weaker opponents. So I think there's a world in which somehow that happens. Presumably it could happen against a stronger opponent as well. At least they've proven they know what to do with the lead.
Can you find a lead versus Arya? And that's kind of Counterfeit there, saying maybe that's the way in for the Hawks.
No, you don't need to be... No, you can be behind if you're the Jesters and you've got a Blitzcrank.
Always a possibility. That, like the clutch Blitzcrank push into Silence to kill the 11-0 Silas is certainly one way to win a game. I'm hoping that won't be the end of... Over here as my second screen tries to turn itself off. Please, technology, stop this. This hosting business super easy. Of course, this will be the Hawks.
Hey,
first, that was sarcastic, man. Don't do this to me. I know you.
Hey,
look at that face. He's so offended. Bring it back. Okay. At least for the Hawks here as well. I do want to touch a little bit on the top lane issue.
Oh yeah.
Lexi, set the scene for our viewers at home. What is the problem with Aramik and this kind of bogey word of weak side?
So, everyone in the league knows that you can just dive Aramik at any time in the game. You just know, especially pre-15, we've seen everyone from Axis, who has their own problems with their weak side top laner, where they're just like, guys, if we just go at them, we just push the wave in, he just dies. It doesn't matter on the champion, he just dies. And he's playing against Nap, who is maybe used to playing weak side top lane more than anybody else in the league, because his whole team forgets about him and goes, well, we need to help bot. Arya's probably got to just win lane, or he's got to get something going in the mid lane. Nap just gets left alone in the island of itself, normally in a 2v1 situation, and wins. A lot of the time. He's the unsung hero. oh god, Aramik, this isn't going to be fun for you, because Nat can just do so much and can play weak side, can play strong side, can be the carry, can not be the carry, and Aramik, you've not had a good game since you've really come in. Ugh.
It's been rough. It's been rough. And that could be another potential flaw for the Hawks. Counterfeit. For CGA, outside of Aria, is there anything that's kind of caught your eye that we should be keeping our eyes on? I think you've been drawn to.
Well, I mean, it's certainly based on that last game. Gango's Jhin was utterly ridiculous. I don't recall the last time I saw an AD carry roam to mid lane and force for a kill in that kind of fashion. I think I really, really liked it. I thought it was nice to see something fresh coming in. And I suspect, if Arya is going to be running for the mid lane, Gango is going to be running for the bot lane, then I think that's going to be a great way for CGA to make sure that any fight that happens is on their terms.
Keep an eye on Gango, especially if he gets a bit of priority, start doing things. It's the kind of thing he does on Ashe as well. He definitely has pulled off some ridiculously good arrows from roams towards the mid lane. CGA's win over DFM comes to mind back a few weeks ago, where there was a very arrow to win themselves a Baron fight from downtown. That said, guys, I'm going to ask, and I'm going to assume I know the answer, but I would like some predictions coming into this matchup. Counterfeit, I'll throw it to you first, as you're kind of the guest here and a bit new to the LJL.
I mean, it's going to be very hard to call against CGA.
It really is. Really is.
The biggest win of the season. I mean, just to be contrary, I'm going to say that as much as, maybe we wouldn't have expected CGA to win that last game, I'm going to say that because I've got less at stake here. I've got less at stake than you guys. I don't have a reputation to maintain.
Do it.
So SoftBank Hawks Gaming, I think they're going to surprise us in this game. They're going to, by transitive property, take the top spot in the league, and it's all going to happen in this mid lane. 1v1. It's time to snowball.
Brilliant. I love it. The curse for going 9-0 and losing the game. CGA, you are due a reckoning as a result of it. Calling in on the occult there is Counterfeit for a prediction for the Hawks. Bold, I think we'll say. Mass Swan, tell me what you're thinking. If you vote for the Hawks because you're still in love with Honey, I'm going to be very upset.
So, I might have predicted good things for the Hawks in spring. And I kind of amped up Honey as maybe being the next Archer. But he wasn't the next Archer.
He wasn't.
I do appreciate my co-caster for this, who I have cast many, many a game with, for calling the Hawks out. I feel like I need to PayPal him later after this, so he can at least...
I should have known.
Absolutely. So the Hawks have got their token, but I have got a reputation to uphold over here. You don't do 24, coming up to 25th episode of the podcast. Plug number whatever, I don't know.
You've been doing very well at that.
I know, and I've not even been hosting for all
Solid
of it.
book.
I'm rather happy with myself here. But I've got to go with CGA. Like, come on. They've got Nap in the top lane, they've got Arya in the mid lane, and the rest of the team are playing around. Unica is definitely starting to wake up. It started at week 4, but that wasn't a guarantee. Week 5, against their first game, coming in, V3, you fell behind against Boogie, but everyone expects you to do that. And then you dictate the control of the game and the pace? Well, that's
Good
scary.
News. All right. So, last kind of thing before I think we'll be heading towards pick and bans. Which will you guys be focusing? What lanes are you reckoning? Or I'll make you pick. Which lane are you desperately interested in seeing go? Count.
I think, Swan, you mentioned Honey. There's a good reason for that. They've got the most ludicrous kill participation I've ever seen, I think, it's on insane, any player. It's 86.4%.
My boy!
That is so ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen any team which even approaches that.
Counterfeit.
So
part of the problem is they only ever get like 4 kills a game. So that's partly why Honey gets most of them.
Yes, if
dear.
if the miracle's gonna happen, and it's going to happen, then it's gonna come from Honey, because that's the only place you're gonna get kills. That's the place to make the play. I think Dasher wins out mid lane, smashes down the opposition, humbles Arya before their head gets too big, heads to the bottom lane, snowballs Honey. It's gonna be all Hawks all the time, this game and the next game as well.
Genius. You heard it here. You know that Winnie the Pooh is part of the Disney franchise. That's where wishes come true. And it is Honey and Pooh in that bot lane. So you know the 100-acre bot lane. They've got that Disney magic. Counterfeit is counting on it. And you guys are off to pick and ban. So take it away. And I wish Counterfeit the best of luck with that bold prediction.
They're very bold indeed, but I like to think that it's all about, going for those big bold predictions. Put yourself out there. Let's see where these first bans end up coming through. So the Ornn, a contested pick between both top laners, and the set getting a lot of mileage as well recently. For CGA, they're focusing down towards the bottom lane with a final ban. Honey on that Aphelios pick. There was no way that was getting through.
No, would you do me the pleasure of covering the teams? It is a small tradition we do on either side.
Oh, in that case, then for CGA, we have Nap up in the top lane, Unica in the jungle, Arya in the mid lane, Gango in the bot, and Grendel in support.
And for the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming, it's Adamic in the top lane, Tussle in the jungle, Dasher in the mid lane, Honey and Pooh, that 1,000-acre bot lane, in the bot lane. Surprise, surprise. And we've got a Volibear, first pick for CGA. Aggressive and a good flex pick.
Yeah, I like the Trundle getting picked up here as well. That is the strongest pick that Tussle has been playing so far.
Yeah, this is a huge one coming through. Tussle getting that, getting the Trundle, but the Karma. This can't be understated. This is a hugely priority pick across every major region. Normally it's banned. When it's picked, you have your win rate just goes up to about 60% if I'm right, and it has a 100% win rate in top globally. Well, CGA, did you not mean to pick the Karma because you can just play it everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love yourself some flex picks, but for CGA, they're looking to really show their hand early on. The Ashe and the Bard locked in for the bottom lane, and it looks like the Jhin has been left open so that Honey can show Gango how it's done.
Oh, apparently it did have 100% till Huni entered it, but we're not going to count that one because he's now in Academy, so it's okay, guys. As you were saying, Counterfeit, yeah, absolutely. CJ, amazing bot lane, great response. Dasher, though, going for this Jhin. Is this... Oh my god, is this what we're going to be seeing? Now, we're getting, layers of AD carries. Aphelios beats Jhin, but Jhin beats Ashe, and Ashe beats Aphelios. No, I'm not doing this. Arya's LeBlanc was banned. Dasher's not interested in that.
All right, let's get on to the second phase of bans, as you said. The Renekton from SHG. The Hawks won't want to keep that out of the top lane, but interesting choices here. The Wukong, also potentially a top lane pick, but the Galio, we have seen Dasher doing pretty well on the pick, despite the fact they've they've got the carry style and they've got the more supportive from the Galio.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a pick that you don't expect from Dasher, as he is a very aggressive player. The problem is he's had to kind of go back to playing this, and interestingly enough, the Hawks probably side selected red side here because CGA have a huge priority on playing on red side purely so they can give Arya the counter pick. Doesn't get it this time around. They've given Dasher the counter pick. What are we gonna see against this Sylas? Oh god.
It's the kind of thing that has an effect on a person, as the Sylas is comboed with the Sejuani, and the final pick from the Hawks. This is what they've been holding off on all the way for the champ stakes. It will be the Azir.
It's gonna be this Azir into the Sylas. Pretty standard matchup in overall, and while I do think you're slightly favored as Azir, it's nowhere near the kind of counter pick potential that we have seen out of Arya. Arya has the largest champion pool out of any player in the LJL, and they're at a 7-2 win record with their team, and they're looking dominant in a lot of spots. Giving him that counter pick potential just really gives this team that extra X factor that they don't get against other teams. They've gone from a 4-2 10 team, or no, 4-11 team, 4-10, whatever their record was before they were in the bottom of tiebreakers to fight for their spot. Now at a 7-2 spot, you have to feel good about this counterfeit.
Yeah, I'm really kind of liking what we're seeing here. I mean, to look across the teams and see what this Silas pick is going to be capable of. We've got. I'm trying to even think about it. I'm not even sure what the Silas does with the Karma, since that's an enhancing ultimate rather than one that actually directly does anything.
This is just Arya saying, I'm going to outwin this whole game on my own. His Silas is a special pick of his. He only occasionally brings it out. But you thought his LeBlanc was dirty. No. He can 5v9 on Silas. I'm not even joking. It's actually disgusting. The only way he's ever lost on the Silas is what I was hinting towards earlier in that pick and ban phase when he played against Rascal Jesters. The only way to deny him is you play Blitzcrank and you silence the Silas, because it's the only way you can beat him. You knock up Silence, 5 members delete him. They promptly lost that game because all the gold was on Arya. It's not even funny how good he is on this champion. He makes it look better than I've seen any other player in the world play it from the mid lane. Genuinely, it's scary.
I mean, I can certainly believe that based on what we saw from Arya in the previous game. I mean, getting up to 25 stacks on that Mage Eyes is pretty damn filthy. I like at least that we've got some ability to keep away here from the side of the Hawks. I mean, what better mascot to bring into this extremely important game than the Azir, the bird face one themselves? It's going to be able to keep away. The Trundle's going to be able to play keep away as well. And Honey, while they're dominating the bot lane, they're also going to be able to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, Honey's going to be able to stay out of trouble. Pooh's going to be great at just walking in front. Aramik playing this Karma, different type of champion, especially against Nap, and that's going to be a really interesting place to see how the map really progresses. It really does hammer into that fact of keep away. You've got great engage with Karma or great disengage. Just depends on how you want to tune it on the day.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this for Aramik as well. They were mostly known for playing the Ornn pick before, because they've been a really feast or famine player. Now they're in a position where they can enable the rest of the team, even if they do get put behind in the matchup against Nap. They've still got those shields. They've still got the ability to counteract plays.
Okay, so we've come over to the team stats. Oh, and now they're in first place for DPM. Actually, it wasn't a stat we saw last time. The only thing the Hawks are number 1 at, it's a little bit sad, is their game time. Because they lose fast or win fast. They do have also the fastest game out of everybody else in the league. But it's not ideal when you're also commonly down in basically everything else. Their average gold time versus per minute, gold differential, they're just below everything on CGA. It's going to be a tough one for the Hawks to find the win in this one.
Well, one of the stats that's really jumping out for me there, amongst the many stats that look a little bit worrying if you are a Hawks fan, is that first blood average time is double that of Crest Gaming. I think if the Hawks are going to win this one out here, they need to defy those statistics. They need to get that kill straight away. I'd like to see a level 1 fight where the Hawks come out ahead just to set the pace for the rest of the game.
I would agree with you. They probably have a slightly favored level 1. So if they're gonna do something crazy, they should probably pull the trigger. Whether they do or not is going to be a complete another matter. And I like the idea that because they've got an accelerated level 1, they need to find a first blood average. The problem is Dasher is going to fight Arya. You're not going to get him to stop. If he can get a kill pre-6, he's going to flash for it. He typically will take flash ignite, even in spots where he really, really shouldn't counterfeit. And will either find the kill or will die trying. We have to hope that that's not a case this time round, correct?
Well, if you're Dasher, if you're the Hawks here, you know that you're coming into this as a majorly disadvantaged team. I kind of like the idea that Dasher's going to try and coin flip here. Even if it's a weighted coin that goes in Arya's favor, you're never going to get a team that's going to be able to 100% pull off their plays against every other team. You know, if you're a good team, you're up to 70, 80%, but it's still worth a chance. I hope we get to see Dasher going super aggressive. I mean, there's every chance CGA see that coming and punish it, but you've got to take some kind of risk if you're going to beat out a team that's so much higher on the table than you.
Yeah, and they're not only higher on the table, they've also beaten harder competition continuously throughout this split. So far, the Hawks have only been able to really beat teams that have had problems with their rosters. We're looking mostly at Axis and Rascal Jester, and this is where you keep looking at it and wondering, what can they do next? Where can the Hawks come into this spot? And a win against CGA would 100% put them on the right trajectory for the rest of this split, and also, more importantly, secure them a spot in playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the Hawks, they've got, you know, this is only their second split of being part of the competition. They've got an enormous amount to prove here. You're right, yeah, this is the opportunity coming to knock. For CGA, you know, they are riding high. Their adrenaline must be running through their system like crazy after the previous game. I think, you know, if there's ever a time to make an impression, to get people talking about you, this is the opportunity the Hawks have at their feet right now.
And it's definitely the week. We've already seen Sengoku lose to Axis. So there's quite clearly anything impossible. Also important to note, we've had that 3-week break. We don't know what the Hawks are looking like after the break. We know what CGA is looking like after this break. It's a lot of what we've already seen from them before, which, let's be honest, it's just really solid play from all members of the team. They just keep getting better and better as the weeks go on. If the Hawks have leveled up at that same time, there genuinely could be a really exciting game as, well, how does it feel to be on the Japanese Summoner's Rift?
It feels amazing. And I mean, really excited to be, you know, it's not just this game, but going to be up against Detonation later on as, it looks like the level 1 play is coming true, but this looks like it's going to be CGA being the ones who make it. Honey loses out on that flash straight away as Gango is fishing for the first blood as well.
Better level 1 doesn't matter if your AD carry has to take only auto attacks and doesn't get to respond back. Bit awkward. Now some interesting jungle paths will have to be taken from the members of the Hawks, but hopefully Tussle can figure something out.
A good vision being put down from CGA as they set an ambush for the returning Honey, knowing, of course, that flash is down. I like from the Hawks, though, they've immediately reacted. They've gone up to the top. They've made sure that they're going to presumably move to some sort of vertical jungling rather than risking going into this unseen territory.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only option really open to them at this point. It's almost like a secret handshake that's being done there at that point. You're just like, okay, guys, they've taken it. That's it. And, well, the Twitter fans have definitely made a statement on who they think's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair assumption, but you just see, if the Hawks win out this game, those polls in future weeks are going to be good. And see, yeah. AI bot is on the same side as me. 52%, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
It's 4% in their favor. Got to take those small wins. It's the small edges. If you roll that dice more, the Hawks win it more often.
And Dasher in the mid lane, you know, we knew they would be up for a scrap. They've actually been doing extremely well. They've been denying tons of CS from Arya. And if Arya can't CS, is getting pushed back into the turret, maybe this starts to go well for the Hawks.
Yeah, Unica is just currently farming, clearing out a pretty deep ward that was actually placed over there by Dasher earlier on. And as we look on it, it looks like our junglers are now just kind of returning and finishing off the rest of this vertical jungling that they've already started.
I'm definitely keeping an eye out for what Tussle's able to do in this game. As noted before it all started, on this Trundle pick, they are very adept, and Tussle also has the highest KDA and kill participation on the squad. So if we are going to see those first blood numbers denied from before from the Hawks, it's got to come through a Tussle play.
Yeah, it's going to be something around Tussle. We are seeing Krabbies are first starting to come up now for the side of, well, both junglers, as they're going to both continuously take wherever the jungle they started, the vertical jungling that started. Priority for Tussle in the top side, but for Unica, it's going to be in that bot side. And because of this vertical jungling that they've done, the first Drake is going to be this Cloud Drake that's going to be up in a minute. Vision priority is going to be really important. You can kind of bully your way into taking the first Drake or two.
And Honey is going to have to shelter behind Pooh here, as we do have the flash forward. Of course, Honey does still have the cleanse available, but there is the last hit in from Grendel. First blood across the CGA at just shy of 4 minutes.
Well, everyone's cooldowns were probably down at one point or another. The call was coming out. Do I go for it? Do I go for it? Pooh just went for it. At least you get the kill secured. Oh no, rather Grendel went for it. On to rather Honey. Kill secured. Perfect start for them. Now they're going to be able to rotate in 30 seconds and probably take this dragon after a quick reset.
It's going to be a Cloud starting us off here today on the Rift as the Hawks take the early loss. At least it wasn't on to Gango, the AD carry, but instead onto Grendel themselves, as Honey will be returning back to the bottom lane with the Cull. At admission, this bottom lane is not going to go well.
No, but just because you've had an early death, it doesn't mean it's all left to lose. Aramik's taking a pretty good advantage. Granted, this is against Nap, who is more than used, arguably, than any other top laner. He's more than used to playing weak side, as we said in the pregame.
Yeah, and is suffering a little bit at the moment. For Aramik, you know, we had some questions about them coming into this one, but they've seemed to have navigated around on the commas so well so far, as that Cloud Drake, it looks to be that CJ is setting up to play, as Honey still has no summoners available. Will be not quite locked in place, survives the gank this time as a pull under the tower. Gango gets taken down so very low as the exhaust is immediately pushed through. Tussle is trying to look for that return kill. Don't think he can quite manage it.
No, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to return much. They're rather fortunate to be able to get out with their life, if you ask me, Gango. You got rather lucky there, but doesn't matter. They were able to get away from it. And then we reset. This is where we're at. Nothing too scary has been happening. Have seen some boots come out, as we see boots of swiftness and God, I've actually Berserker's Greaves come out.
Oh right, yes, I was trying to figure out what you were looking at.
I was like, I can figure this out one day.
Wait, on the phone, as Grendel almost gets taken out. I mean, you know, in the previous game for CGA, they weren't showing any fear at all versus V3. I think from the Hawks here, we're actually seeing a little bit of that kind of attitude themselves. They know they're underdogs coming into this one, but that doesn't mean they're afraid to make the play.
No, they are willing to take it to CGA. They understand how this game is going to be played, and they're more than happy to fight them on both their own terms as well as CGA's terms, as they're kind of all planning around the same objectives. Infernal Drake is live now. Neither team have aggressively gone for it, and it's interesting that it's been left up for so long, because this Herald is going to be up in a minute, and the junglers don't seem to be too interested in either of them.
And notable for Unica, who did have some concerns coming to this one, has fallen a little bit behind on the CS count, so the race to level 6 is on. Of course, both junglers with some pretty impactful ultimates, but in the mid lane, level 7 is already here and ready for this next fight, be it around Infernal Drake or Herald.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for the bot lane to both hit 6, and that's typically when you start seeing some aggressive fights. Ooh, hello, Tussle. You thinking about it? No? Maybe? Yeah? Who knows? Sure, we'll check in.
Well, Dasher's going to have be the one having the playmate on them. The Emperor's Divide, though, is a good reset button to that lane, as the rest of the Hawks look to lock down the first major objective of the game. CJ, they're closing in. The Drake is low. It will be secured. The Hawks grab it for themselves, but can they escape out? Arya steals away the Trundle ultimate, and it's going to be an instant kill onto Pooh. The teleport comes in as the Hawks try and take the fight. Maybe it's a fight they should not have taken, as Tussle gets blown up as well. Dasher's trying to find something, but only loses out. Nice stun there, as Dasher fails to get away, and it's going to be a big old disaster. The Hawks get the Drake, but they lose out big.
Are you seeing what I just saw? That was just awful from the Hawks. They were able to secure the Drake, but then decided they wanted to hang around for a fight that they clearly didn't have all their members on. It was so all over the place, and immediately we saw Adamik come in and then flash away. question then, why are we even teleporting in if we're just going to flash and run away with the rest of the team? They secure this Drake, and immediately they should be running away. Pooh decides to engage, and then they realize this is a fight we really shouldn't be taking. Aggressively come in. They're dilly-daddling at this point, and they realize, no, this isn't a fight we can go for. Grendel has a level advantage over Honey, so it doesn't matter. Dash is just eating everything here. Beautiful Ash ultimate. Honey has to cleanse away to even survive for a bit longer. They still get the kill on it. Dasher dies, and I don't think that was worth it to the Hawks with how that went. They could have easily taken the Drake and gone back to their respective lanes / jungle, and Unica's still hungry. He wants more advantages starting this Rift Herald.
Yeah, CGA, they're not wasting any time here. They've got the gold lead. They've got, a very good presence around the Herald. You can see that the vision has been blacked out as well by the control ward, so it's quite likely going to end up being a first tower as well. I mean, CGA, they didn't hesitate before when given the opportunity. It looks like that will be the same in this game.
Yeah, they don't hesitate ever, and they will continuously fall aggression. And Gango is really abusing this range advantage that Ash has over Jhin. Well, I mean, I believe Jhin had the further range, but it doesn't seem to be that case when it's in Gango's hands.
No, I mean, well, we saw Gango knows exactly how to play the Jhin pick, as we saw from the previous game. And it's, as you can see, the AI has suddenly taken a very abrupt swing back in CGA's favor for pretty good reason.
Yeah, I mean, get 3 kills, give them a Drake. I think if I was the bot, I'd look at it and go, yeah, that seems worth. Seems worth.
So as we look around the map, we can see Aramet has managed to do a decent job of keeping Nap on lockdown in their top lane and staying ahead on CS. Looks like they are building towards a more tanky style, but there's no TP from any member of either team right now, so the lanes will be isolated for the time being.
Yeah, they will be, but I wouldn't be too surprised if we start seeing far more roams from Arya in this mid lane. He's now started to get a slight advantage. He went for that proto belt really aggressively, and now he can probably look to build at least a pair of boots. He's already got 4 stacks on his Dark Seal. We all know there's a Magi coming out soon enough for him, and oh god, this is going to be real scary because he's on his Silas, and this is a pocket pick of pocket pick. You got a treat with the LeBlanc. We rarely see the LeBlanc game because he's just so scary on it. This Silas, oh, that's what nightmares are made of.
Yeah, we've got the charge for the Herald as Grendel lurks in the bushes. It won't actually ultimately give the first tower across the CGA, but that is a whole chunk of the tower plating secured as the bot tower is almost knocked down.
Yeah, that's arguably all the CGA want. They just want to keep finding incremental advantages. They now have over a 2.5k gold lead, meaning that gold is mostly also only on Unica, Arya, and Gango, the most important members. Nap can just be AFK farming, become the front line. He doesn't need loads of gold to become that. All they need to do is keep tunneling everything onto mostly Arya and Gango with a little bit of Unica, so he's ahead of Tussle, and he's already got that 1 level advantage, which is always important for any form future smite fights that might happen. Oh wait, no, counterfeit. Sir, there's a Drake in 20 seconds.
There is.
You're gonna have a
Clouds
fight
are gathering.
Oh my.
Well, it's not, talking about the goal difference between the two teams, it's even worse than that for the Hawks here, because some of the gold they actually do have right now is heavily in the pocket of Aramik, who is the least important person, I'd imagine, to be ahead.
Yeah, Aramik being ahead means almost nothing. He's the support pick. He's the kind of pick where you're like, okay, Aramik, don't die. That's all we want you to do. If you can harass Volibear, that's great. If you can keep Nap around it all the time so we can't TP in, perfect. That's all we need. First tower. That means Prio is also now slightly going to go in the favor of CJ at any time they want to fight over dragons. That's not ideal.
I think maybe for the Hawks, they're kind of glad not to contest that second dragon, though. So it looks like they have their eyes instead on the top lane at tier 1. For CGA, though, they are looking to accelerate the game. They are moving on to the tier 2, looking to collapse onto Aramik. You may have had the advantage, but it's not a 1 versus 3 advantage. There's the arrow, there's the hit, and there is going to be the execution, opening the tier 2 bot lane tower for the taking.
Yeah, and Arya was able to go up and defend the top lane turret because he was able to just allow himself to farm as much as he could mid lane, then rotate up to top lane, hasn't used his TP in a while, allows him to stay utility, and this turret in the bot lane is going to be gone real soon, as it's very low, as I can see on the minimap.
A little unfortunate there for the Tempered Fate as Dasher dashes away, but to touch on the larger team issues here, if you've got Aramik being strong, has got the Iceborne Gauntlet now, is a tanky Karma. What are they enabling on the Hawk side? Dasher is not doing well. Honey is doing worse. You could shield a team with no damage and end up accomplishing nothing. Yeah,
and Arya just backed off, decided that it's not worth him fighting anymore. Oh no, Nap. Oh, perfect. This is why he's so good at fighting bots weak side, because he's like, I always ward aggressively. Well, that's not good. I'm going to run away from that. And that's how you play weak side Aramik. You throw a ward over the back, and you find out if you're going to die or not. And Gango's going to take your turret, and if you hang around, he will probably kill you as his ultimate's up again.
Yeah, well, Honey was sent up to the top lane to get some of that turret gold. Yeah, Gango is getting the same treatment now with a 200 gold bounty, 2 kills, and very close to completing that Blade of the Ruined King. We are getting close to that second Herald, so objective fights are going to be becoming more and more important.
Yeah, it's going to become incredibly important moving forward, and I imagine the gold lead is mostly sitting on Arya and probably Gango at the moment, because of all the turret plating that he did happen to get, partly through Unica. So I have to assume that's part of it. Obviously, Unica has a lead, most likely over Tussle, due to having 1 kill and 4 assists, but it won't be anywhere near to the extent that Arya and Gango will have.
Yeah, I do like the 100% kill participation from nice. Unica so far. As a player that was maybe a concern point for the CGA squad, they've done very, very well in this game.
Yeah, Unica, especially across the first few weeks, we were asking for Yoshi, who, again, was a player that we had concerns and problems with for CGA. Unica seems to have found the perfect slot in for this team, especially after this break, and has really turned it up. And I'm looking forward to seeing more from this player moving forward.
So, to be as facetious as possible,
of course, yes.
The Hawks, at least, are all on the same page with all a single death each. I'm really hoping we might get to see, before we hit 20 minutes, at least a kill materialize for the Hawks. But right now, that's not even the kind of game that CGA are playing. They're just focusing down these towers. It's going to be tower number 3. But bear in mind, again, that bottom lane has been torn up. The tier 2 dropping as well.
Yeah, and what's really scary for the side of the Hawks is Second Rift Herald hasn't even been taken yet. It's not even on the map yet. Once Second Rift Herald is taken, if they ever don't have their bot lane pushed down to at least where it should be, normally where at least 1 turret would be, they could just get horrendously collapsed upon if 1 or more members die and 3 to 4 members of CGA all push. They could easily push that bot lane and aggressively get it. Though, it looks like this Rift Herald is actually going to be used in the mid lane.
A double stun onto Aramik, because this is again a 1 versus 3. Does manage to avoid out getting ulted. Hasn't quite got the cooldown to bring back the health, as we do have the curtain call coming out for the first time in the game. Cancelled almost immediately, because Arya is on the flank and is nowhere safe for Honey to deploy, with a Rift Herald smashing down another tier 2 tower. It's 5 towers to 2, and no sign of slowing down for CGA.
They had a mid tower before that. Counterfeit. They had 2 that was 2 towers gone purely through Shelly. You know what? CGA are just better at macro than the Hawks, and they're better and smarter than me, and I'm okay with that. Gango's Ash so far has done 615.5 damage per minute, and he has over over 33% of the damage dealt so far in this game for CJ.
I could believe it.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
Gango's now got the Runans to go with that Blade of the Ruin King they were picking up before, as it looks to be that for Crest Gaming Act, they're going to be right on to picking up these Mountain Drakes, which will, of course, be our sole Drake companion until we get to Elder. And, we've got Unico, we've got Nap, two pretty tanky presences on the field to be able to take advantage of those extra defensive stats.
Yeah, Nap and Unico are going to love it. But what's really nice is someone like Arya, Gango, and Grundle, they're all going to benefit hugely by just becoming purely tankier, which makes them so much harder for the side of the Hawks to ever fully collapse upon and get them down and dead. It's well and good having one Infernal Drake, but against a 3-stacked Mountain Drake with a Mountain Soul, it's going to be so difficult to go any further.
Right now, for the Hawks, they can't get the damage through. They definitely can't get their damage through a Mountainous Shield. It's looking like the area is going to be, so much of the Hawk jungle is going to be now taken over and locked down as well with Vision to keep the Hawks from getting any more gold. So, still looking to see if we can find that last kill. It looks like 20 minutes is going to be totally dry for the Hawks here, as the only thing that's really broken the status quo is Aramik taking that additional death.
I didn't mean to leave you silent there. I didn't realize my microphone had muted itself, so I was... I did try talking, and then I realized you came in and just kept talking as if I wasn't here, and I was like, that's not like counterfeit. Oh, my microphone's muted. That would be partly why. Good save. As I thought you were stunned into silence by the CGA performance. I mean, I am more stunned in silence of the Hawks. After this break, we had questions. We have asked multiple questions of the Hawks, and we thought maybe this break could be good for them. They had been gifted a few wins, maybe with a bit of time off. They might be able to fix some of the core problems that the team had been having. It looks like, sadly, the top teams still have their number, though.
I mean, it's tricky to draw. Yeah, we're going to be seeing the Hawks playing again after this. I mean, this is the game in which the Hawks are not getting to take flight at all. No kills. The CS, they've kept up with reasonably well. I mean, you check down the bottom lane, Honey actually has the advantage down there. In the top lane, there's a small advantage for Aramek as well. So they're not, they're taking every opportunity they can, but as we see here from Tussle, there's so many more opportunities being generated by CGA as finally a play is turned around the top tier 2, the last remaining one for the Hawks.
Well, look at this. This whole time, Arya's just getting solo farm experience. Nap then immediately rotates around, starts on this mid, and the members of the Hawks just kind of get the scraps that CGA left for them. There's not a huge amount of options. Important thing of note as well, none of the inhibitors have actually gone down. None of these lanes are auto-pushing just in the Hawks' favor, always coming into them. Rather, now it's always going to be it's still CGA have control of this. Baron is now up. Dragon's going to be up in the next few minutes. 2 minutes. It's almost like I felt it. It's like my soul knew it. And with that all said, the Hawks now need to find a way back into this game, and a way into this game will be to try and steal a few of these Mountain Drakes, or, even better, really, steal Baron. Because Baron is a way of really turning this game over their head. The only other option is to try and sneak a Baron, but that's normally CGA's game, not the Hawks' game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Gango's inventory, that Blade of the Ruin King, we've seen how much damage Gango has been doing this game. They'll continue to do that to all these objectives. But on the other side of the equation for the Hawks, Honey, who is their focus coming into this one, has got an Infinity Edge. It's got a Rapid Fire Cannon as well. This is a Jhin who will hit pretty hard, despite having not gotten any kills so far.
And it's just phenomenal, the performance that CGA are having from all members on this team. Multiple members are performing, multiple members are showing up, and every member of the Hawks has been shown at one point or another to have a slight weak spot. But there is something about it, whether it's the positioning, whether it's whether it's the mobility, whether it was the gank that they tried to do and it just fell in their face. There's so many small incremental things that has been a problem for CGA throughout this game. Well, no, for the Hawks throughout this game, not for CGA. It's been positive for CGA, and the item leads just keep coming in. That's now 2 items now for Arya, plus that Sheen, and they're only going to get stronger once the Lich Bane's finished.
Yeah, notes as well for Yumika. They've got the Knight's Vow ready as well to make sure that investment stays safe. Actually on NAP right now to create a almost impenetrable front line. You have to think if Gango ever starts to actually get threatened, that will be another line of defense to keep CGA's bot laner thriving.
Oh, 100%. And now this Drake just gets turned immediately on, and there's 3 members of CGA because they all pushed up. They made sure bot and mid were fully pushed in, so Honey can only farm, Aramik can only farm. We'll get this dragon, and now we're threatening point. In 5 minutes, you have to fight us. At 24 minutes, 29 minutes, you have to fight us, Hawks, or it's over. We will just siege you and take Baron as well.
So if we look ahead 5 minutes to that theoretical fight, which I have to imagine that will happen, yeah, we've got some pretty heavy damage items dropping in for Dasher, the mid for the Hawks. They've got themselves Void Staff and Nash's as well. I can't imagine before that next Drake comes up, we're going to see major item purchases coming in for the Hawks.
I can't imagine it. I don't believe they've got much gold, and I think currently what they're working with is what they have at the moment. When you're so close to base and you're able to recall regularly and reset, you get your item spikes less regularly because you're constantly buying within one reason or another. You get a small upgrade here, you buy a Doran's Blade here, you buy a dagger there, you buy an amplifying tomb, and it's only minor upgrades. The difference is because they've been getting collapsed upon and because they're only able to farm and they're not...
It's Tempered Fate time. Honey's been caught out. We'll get locked in place, able to just about crawl away as Nap is locked down, but Gango goes in and finishes the job themselves. The Azir trying to pour as much damage as possible, but Gango is going through, gets the double, gets the triple, tears the beating heart from the Hawks, flings it to the ground, and only Pooh is able to slither away.
And what did I say? Just countless times they're going to find a pick or they're going to find the fight. And, well, the Hawks just fell beautifully in line for them. I think that actually the Hawks are in perilous danger, that this game might be over before they even realize it, as the timers are still going to be 8 seconds on both Tussle and Honey.
I don't think there's a might about it. There's no way they can stand in front of this kind of damage. Both Nexus towers dropping down instantly. Going to be charging on through, looking to finish the job. And
the KDA. The KDA.
Just dominated.
What a performance from CGA. A sound statement against the Hawks. And welcome to the LJL counterfeit. Welcome. We're going to take a very short break here to regain our thoughts, but in a moment we'll be joined back with Initialize over on the desk.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, and I feel like I've been saying this quite a lot today. I am sorry for the scenes you just witnessed. I'm aware that probably breached a number of terms of service agreements, but alas, here we are. Do call your loved ones and make sure it don't happen. What happened to the Hawks doesn't happen to you and your friends. That was pretty miserable stuff for the Hawks and CGA. That was business as usual, but with a kind of ruthless vengeance to it. They crushed the game.
Yeah, this was a dominant performance from CGA, from all of their members, and I'm not surprised that it really came from them. They looked great after beating V3, and, well, more of the same came from them.
Yeah, and your thoughts,
I was hopeful that Honey could step up here and show off something for the Hawks, but, I mean, I think almost Gango maybe took that as an insult, and that sort of fueled their performance in this game, because they were terrifying pretty much the whole way through.
Yeah, and I think it all can be traced, at least in that bot lane, back to that level 1 where Honey had to back, having blown his flash, most of his HP bar, ends up in lane a bit late. And the vertical jungling ends up being set up so they can't play around the bot lane, which, you know, is the Jhin and the Nautilus. Great setup. Mass Swan, walk me through kind of what that meant for the bot lane in general.
Yeah, because they were always behind, because there was no priority on the side of the Hawks in this bot lane, and it ended up being a very bot lane, mid lane focused game. It meant that that Unica was able to either help out Arya if that ever needed to be happened, or Arya and Unica could rotate round to the bot lane and really assist in anything that could happen, and this also gave them priority around the dragon later on moving through. It meant they always had priority moving through the Drake, the towers as it ended up going. They rotated more effectively, and, well, it just meant the game kind of ended up always going their way, sadly.
Did feel like that, and I kind of got a couple stats to pull out for you guys as some things specifically for Gango, because this was just a hard lane bot crush from CGA, where you ended up with 51% of the damage share that game for CGA was done by Gango. He had 82% kill participation and was way up in CS. Well, we had only the 10 CS up, so maybe overstating that one a little bit, but that is pretty mad numbers for a team that is normally so reliant on Arya to be the lion's share of the damage. Counterfeit, your thoughts on Gango, having seen this particular...
Well, I mean, yeah, certainly towards the end, you know, it's interesting to see them actually matching the kind of numbers that Honey was pulling in as far as kill participation. But there was someone from the CGA team that wanted to highlight in terms of that kill participation, which was, we noted Unica on the Sejuani, that 100% kill participation in the early part of the game, you know, was part of all 5 kills, and I think that's a lot of why Gango was able to really step up and take over the game later on.
Thinking. Any thoughts you want to add on to that, Maswan?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with those two members, as well as Grendel in the bot lane was always there, shadowing a lot. Wasn't always around, was just shadowing, doing typical Bard things, and honestly, I really like Grendel on this Bard. We've seen it before from them. I'm hopeful to see more of this Ashe Bard lane from them, as it seems really powerful from them.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I do want to take us a little bit further into the game, though. We've kind of waxed lyrical about CGA's bot lane being good, and rightly so. But I think it is worth starting to talk a little bit about the objective control from CGA, where they just ran over most of the objectives. But I kind of want to move to specifically a moment in the game where we saw the Hawks trying to trade for objectives, but just not quite having the read on it, with the top lane tier 1 push versus the bot lane tier 2 push. Mass Swan, do you want to take that away?
Sure. I mean, this ended up just being a Rift Herald that pushed in, getting them 3 plates as it turned out before they were able to kill that Rift Herald, and then about 2 minutes later they were able to push up because they just had full lane priority due to Unica just always being around, and they have to respect that, and Honey and Pooh had to back off. They ended up rotating around and just giving it to them because they were like, Aramik, you can take that. Aramik then tries to defend the tier 2 turret. Problem is, they're still shadowing. That never stopped. Just because it's a tier 2 turret, it doesn't stop. They shadow, they dive at Aramik, and it all just, that's all she wrote. That's it. That was it. They got the priority, and before they knew it, they were 2 turrets down before they even had an outer turret.
It got pretty rough, that's for sure. It's fair to say CGA did play this game very well. On the other side of that coin, it wasn't like they were pushed very hard. Counterfeit. What is going on with the Hawks here, and where should they have been pushing?
Well, I mean, we were talking about this at the time, that this felt like this was the 8 minutes into the game was when it all fell apart for the Hawks from a pretty strong start for them. If they just hadn't taken that fight, as we check in with Aramek again, getting triple ganked. I mean, I think if they just didn't have that fight around the objective, you secure the Drake, you get out clean, you don't get carried away. I think that's the problem the Hawks had, is that by getting a strong start, by getting the first Drake, it gave them a boost of confidence that actually pushed them into a less than sensible play.
Less than sensible play. That's probably one way of putting it. This means that, of course, CGA will now go 2-0 on the day. They have taken down the #1 team in the LJL, broken that undefeated streak in V3. They just put the Hawks to the sword. Lexi, tell me a bit about CGA and what this means for their contest for the top.
It definitely puts them in that lead. They now have a 1 lead over Sengoku Gaming, who ended up going 1-1 this week. An upset that wasn't expected through Axis, but an upset nonetheless. Puts them in a really good spot for that gauntlet match going forward. With 4 games left for them, as well as V3. V3 still have a 2-cushion advantage over Sengoku, meaning they'd have to lose 2 more games, and Sengoku would have to win 2 more games for them to even be tied. It's just unlikely in the how everything is going. It's also unlikely now that Sengoku will be able to overtake CGA. Not impossible,
but hardly.
Unlikely. CGA now having that win ahead, it's got to feel good for them now that they might be able to bypass the best of the first round robin.
For sure. Counterfeit. Obviously, this puts the Hawks in a bit of a precipitous position when it comes to playoffs. Do you think they have what it takes to stay in that 6th slot, or do they have to be afraid of Axis?
I think the next game we got coming up against Destination Focus Me, I think this is make or break time for the Hawks. They showed some promise in this game. We've definitely seen that they returned to their form of beating out Rascal Jester and Axis before, so I think they are a team that you could say this is a team that deserves to be in 6th place. But I think in order to make sure that happens, they're going to have to beat teams that are ahead of them, and so far not seeing too many signs of that, but I'm prepared to be eventually right on that prediction in some game or the other.
Well, we'll find out, but see how that game actually goes. We'll come back after break. See you very shortly. You know what.